The quantum drive's low hum filled the cargo ship's cockpit as Nathan Parker guided the stellar dawn through the outer reaches of the Carina sector. His weathered hands moved across the console with practiced ease, even as his eyes tracked the unusual energy signature that had caught his attention 10 minutes ago. "Computer, analyze that reading again," he muttered, brushing back graying hair from his forehead. At 45, Nathan had spent more than half his life in space, but something about this signature felt different from the usual space debris or distress beacons he occasionally encountered. The computer's response came with a soft chime. Energy signature consistent with advanced propulsion technology. Origin, unknown. Composition, partially organic. Nathan straightened in his chair. Organic components in propulsion technology weren't unheard of, but they were rare enough to be interesting. More importantly, they usually meant good money for salvage operators like himself. "Plot an intercept course," he commanded, already running through his pre-VA checklist. The stellar dawn adjusted its trajectory with a gentle shudder. As they drew closer, the source of the signature came into view. Nathan's breath caught in his throat. The vessel, if it could be called that, looked nothing like any ship he'd ever encountered. Its hull seemed to flow like liquid metal, with patterns that shifted and changed even as he watched. "Well," he whispered, "that's definitely not human tech." The alien vessel appeared damaged, with a large section of its fluid-like hull frozen in jagged crystalline formations. Nathan's sensors detected a weak life sign from within, but the readings were erratic, unlike anything in his database. Years of experience told him to call it in and move on. First contact situations were above his pay grade, and the Trade Federation had strict protocols about unauthorized interactions with unknown species. But something about those failing life signs tugged at his conscience. "Computer, log this decision. I'm proceeding with rescue operations under Emergency Protocol 7. The airlock cycled with a hiss as Nathan stepped out in his EVA suit. Magnetic boots kept him anchored as he made his way across the gap between ships. Up close, the alien vessel's surface seemed to react to his presence, rippling slightly where his tools touched it. He found the occupant in what appeared to be a control chamber. The alien was humanoid but clearly not human, tall and slender, with silvery skin that had an almost metallic sheen. They wore what looked like a second skin of flowing material that pulsed with faint bioluminescence. The alien's eyes snapped open as Nathan approached, revealing irises that swirled like nebulae. They spoke, but the sounds were unlike anything Nathan had heard before, more like music than language. "Easy there," Nathan said, raising his hands in what he hoped was a universal gesture of peace. "I'm here to help." The alien tried to move but collapsed instead. Nathan caught them, surprised by how light they felt despite their height. The alien's skin was cool to the touch, even through his suit's gloves, and those nebula eyes fixed on him with an unsettling intensity before sliding shut again. Getting them back to the stellar dawn proved challenging, but Nathan managed it without incident. In the ship's small medical bay, his scanners struggled to make sense of the alien's physiology. The reading suggested they were stable but in some kind of biological stasis. "Computer, begin documentation of xenobiological findings," Nathan said, setting up monitoring equipment. "And let's hope our guest here wakes up in a friendly mood." Hours passed as Nathan alternated between watching over his passenger and trying to decode the alien ship's technology. The vessel's hull had begun to crystallize completely, making salvage impossible. Whatever powered it was beyond his understanding. The alien stirred during his third shift at watch. Nathan turned from his console to find those nebula eyes fixed on him again. This time, they held confusion rather than fear. The alien spoke, but instead of the musical tones from before, they produced hesitant sounds that almost resembled human speech. Nathan leaned forward, fascinated by their apparent attempt to communicate. "I'm Nathan," he said slowly, pointing to himself. "Nathan Parker." The alien watched his lips move, then touched their own throat. After several attempts, they produced something that sounded remarkably like Naira. Naira? Nathan repeated. The alien nodded, then winced, touching their temple. Memory, fragmented, they managed in broken English, each word carefully formed. Ship, attacked? Cannot, remember. Nathan felt a chill run down his spine. Someone had attacked an alien vessel with technology far beyond human understanding. The implications were troubling. More concerning was the fact that his passengers seemed to have lost their memories of the incident, or perhaps any memory at all. He was now responsible for an amnesiac alien who might be involved in something far more dangerous than simple salvage operations. As Naira struggled to communicate more, Nathan realized his life had just become significantly more complicated. The Stellar Dawn's computer chimed with an alert, unknown vessels approaching at high speed. Nathan looked at Naira, who had gone very still, their silvery skin taking on a slightly darker hue. Well, he said with a grim smile, I guess we're about to find out if you have any friends out there, or enemies. Nathan's fingers flew across the controls as three sleek vessels emerged from quantum space. Their design was neither human nor similar to Naira's crystallized ship, but their weapon signatures were unmistakable. Hold on, he called to Naira, who had managed to make it to the cockpit despite their weakened state. The Stellar Dawn lurched as Nathan initiated emergency maneuvers, pushing the aging cargo ship harder than he had in years. Those ships, Naira said, their English improving rapidly despite their amnesia. They feel wrong. Their silvery skin rippled with patterns that seemed to reflect their distress. Nathan glanced at them. Wrong how? Like shadows of something else. Not what they appear to be. Naira pressed their hands against their temples, frustration evident in their expression. Why can't I remember? A blast of energy sizzled past the ship, forcing Nathan's attention back to piloting. Well, they definitely remember you. Computer, analyze their weapon signatures. Unable to classify. Technology exceeds known parameters. Nathan grimaced. Perfect. Nothing like being shot at by impossible weapons. He redirected power from non-essential systems to the shields, knowing they wouldn't hold long against whatever their pursuers were using. The Stellar Dawn shuddered as another blast grazed them. But just as Nathan prepared for the worst, Naira reached forward with trembling hands and touched the ship's console. Their silvery skin began to glow, and patterns of light raced through the ship's systems. What are you? Nathan started, but his words died as the ship's displays transformed. New information scrolled across the screens in flowing symbols that somehow felt familiar despite being completely alien. Naira spoke, their voice taking on that musical quality again. Emergency protocols activated. Quantum displacement in 3, 2, 1. The universe seemed to fold around them. Nathan's stomach lurched as space itself appeared to twist, and suddenly they were somewhere else entirely, a dense asteroid field thousands of light-years from their previous position. How did you do that? Nathan asked, checking their new coordinates with disbelief. Naira slumped in their seat, their skin dulling to a matte gray. I don't know. My hands just knew. They looked at their own fingers as if seeing them for the first time. Like muscle memory, but I can't access the actual memories behind it. Nathan ran a quick system diagnostic. Whatever Naira had done, it hadn't damaged the ship. In fact, the Stellar Dawn systems were running more efficiently than ever, as if they'd been upgraded by the alien technology. Those ships, Nathan said slowly, they weren't after salvage, were they? They wanted you. Naira nodded, their nebula eyes swirling with confusion and fear. I think I was carrying something. Something important. They touched their chest, where their second skin garment pulsed with faint light. It's part of me now, but I don't know what it is. Before Nathan could respond, the ship's newly enhanced sensors detected something in the asteroid field, a structure that definitely shouldn't have been there. It was massive, clearly artificial, and bore the same fluid metal characteristics as Naira's vessel. "That's one of our outposts," Naira said suddenly, then blinked in surprise at their own words. I remember that much. It's a safe haven." Nathan studied the structure. "Your people built this? Out here in the middle of nowhere?" "We built them everywhere," Naira replied, then frowned. "At least, I think we did. It's like trying to remember a dream. The pieces are there, but they don't fit together properly." As they approached the outpost, its surface began to respond to Naira's presence, patterns of light racing across its hull just as they had on the stellar dawn. An opening appeared, large enough for the ship to enter. "I should warn you," Nathan said as he carefully guided them inside, "in my experience, safe havens rarely live up to their name." The interior of the outpost was a marvel of organic technology and crystalline structures. As they docked, Nathan noticed something odd about the station's design. It seemed to be built around a central chamber that pulsed with an energy signature similar to what he'd detected from Naira's ship. "This place," Naira whispered, standing despite their weakness, "it holds answers." "But..." They turned to Nathan, their expression troubled. "I'm afraid of what those answers might be." Nathan checked his weapon, a habit from years of dealing with situations gone wrong, and stood beside them. "Whatever's in there, whatever you remember, we'll deal with it together. Someone tried to kill you, and I'd like to know why." As they made their way deeper into the outpost, the walls seemed to respond to Naira's presence, illuminating their path with soft, bioluminescent light. The air hummed with energy that made Nathan's skin tingle. They reached the central chamber, and Naira stopped abruptly. Their skin began to shimmer with complex patterns, and their nebula eyes widened with recognition. "I remember this," they breathed. "This is where we kept it. Where I was supposed to protect it." "Protect what?" Before Naira could answer, the chamber's central column activated, projecting a holographic display that filled the room. Stars and galaxies swirled around them, but there was something wrong with the image. Entire sections of space were simply missing, as if they'd been erased from existence. "The void cascade," Naira said, their voice hollow. "That's what I was carrying. The key to stopping it." They turned to Nathan, their expression haunted. "And I think I know why those ships were chasing us. They don't want it stopped. They want it to spread." Nathan watched as Naira interfaced with the outpost systems, their silvery skin reflecting the swirling patterns of the holographic display. The missing sections of space in the projection had grown larger since they'd first activated it, like wounds in the fabric of reality itself. "The void cascade isn't just destroying space," Naira explained, their voice tight with remembered anxiety. "It's unmaking it. Erasing it from existence as if it never was." Their hands moved through the holographic controls with increasing confidence. "And it's spreading faster than before. How is that even possible?" Nathan asked, studying the projection. "Space isn't something you can just erase. Unless you have the right technology." Naira's nebula eyes darkened. "Technology like what's encoded in my genetic structure." They touched their second skin garment, which pulsed with a faint rhythm. "I'm not just carrying the key to stop it. I'm carrying the same technology that created it." Nathan felt a chill run down his spine. "Are you saying your people made this thing?" "No," Naira said sharply, then hesitated. "At least. I don't think so. The memories are still fragmented, but I remember fear. My people were trying to stop it. They broke off as the outpost's alert suddenly blared to life. "Multiple quantum signatures detected," the station's AI announced in melodic tones. "Configuration matches hostile vessels from previous encounter." "They followed us?" Nathan moved to a secondary console, checking the defensive systems. "I thought that quantum jump of yours was untraceable." "It should have been." Naira's skin rippled with concern. Unless. Their eyes widened. Unless they're using the same technology. The void cascade technology. The outpost shuddered as the first impacts hit its shields. Nathan watched in amazement as the station's fluid metal structure began to adapt and reinforce itself, but even these incredible defenses were struggling against the attackers' weapons. "We need to go," Nathan said, but Naira shook their head. "Not yet. The outpost's database, I need to download it. There's too much here we don't understand." Their hands flew across the controls, streams of data flowing into their second skin garment, which began to glow more intensely. Another blast rocked the station. "Structural integrity at 60%, the AI warned." "Naira." Nathan started, but they cut him off. "Almost done. Just need to," they gasped suddenly, stumbling back from the console. Their skin had taken on a brilliant sheen, and patterns of light raced across their form like lightning. "What's wrong?" "The data," Naira whispered. "It's too much. Too many memories all at once." Their nebula eyes met his, filled with a new understanding and fear. "Nathan, I remember what I am." Before he could respond, a section of the chamber's wall dissolved, and 3 figures stepped through. They wore armor that seemed to bend light around it, making them hard to look at directly. But what caught Nathan's attention was how they moved, perfectly synchronized, as if they were all parts of a single entity. "The prototype will be retrieved," they spoke in unison, their voices carrying the same musical quality as Naira's but distorted, wrong somehow. "The experiment must continue." "Experiment?" Nathan drew his weapon, knowing it would probably be useless against their advanced technology but unwilling to go down without a fight. "They're not real," Naira said, their voice shaking. "They're projections. Extensions of the void cascade itself." They straightened, their fear giving way to determination. "And I remember now, I was created to stop them." The truth hit Nathan like a physical blow. Naira wasn't just carrying the key to stop the void cascade, they were a weapon designed to fight it. An artificial being created with the same technology that threatened to unmake reality itself. "You're not just a survivor," he said softly. "You're their last hope." Naira nodded, their skin beginning to emit a powerful glow. "And now I remember how to fight back." The chamber erupted in light as Naira's true power awakened. The second skin garment merged with their body, transforming into armor that flowed like quicksilver. The holographic display shattered as waves of energy pulsed from them, forcing the void projections back. "Nathan," they called out, their voice resonating with newfound strength, "I need you to trust me one more time." He met their gaze, seeing not just the weapon they were designed to be, but the person he'd come to care for. "Always." Naira smiled, the expression somehow both sad and determined. Then they raised their hands, and reality itself seemed to hold its breath. "If I don't survive this," they began, but Nathan cut them off. "No. Whatever you're planning, we do it together." He moved to their side, ignoring the void projections that were regrouping for another attack. "I didn't save you from that wreck just to lose you now." For a moment, Naira's confident facade cracked, showing vulnerability beneath their powerful exterior. Then they nodded, reaching out to take his hand. Their touch sent tingles of energy through his body, and he watched in amazement as patterns of light began to spread from their contact, covering him in a protective layer of their technology. "Then let me show you," they said, "what it means to fight the void itself." The chamber filled with impossible light as Naira channeled their power through both of them, preparing to face an enemy that threatened not just their lives, but the very existence of space itself. And as the void projections launched their attack, Nathan realized that sometimes the greatest battles weren't fought for glory or survival, but for the chance to protect something worth believing in. The universe crystallized around them as Naira's power surged through the neural link they now shared. Nathan gasped as his consciousness expanded, seeing reality not just with his eyes but through the quantum-level awareness that was Naira's natural state. The void projections weren't just enemies, they were tears in reality itself, places where existence had been corrupted and twisted into conscious malevolence. Through their shared perception, he could see the wrongness of them, the way they consumed light and matter and memory itself. "Focus on my thoughts," Naira's voice echoed in his mind as their combined energy formed a barrier against the void entity's assault. "Your human perspective, it's helping me see patterns I couldn't before." Nathan understood. Where Naira saw quantum fields and probability waves, he saw simple cause and effect. Together, they were bridging the gap between their species' different ways of perceiving reality. The void projections attacked in perfect synchronization, their corrupted energy attempting to unmake the very space around them. But Naira's protective field, enhanced by Nathan's intuitive understanding of physical space, held firm. The outpost's core, Naira communicated through their link. "It contains a quantum nullifier. If we can activate it, we can disrupt their connection to the void cascade," Nathan finished, their thoughts moving in harmony. "But won't that affect you too?" Naira's mental presence flickered with determination. "I'm willing to take that risk." They moved as one through the chamber, their shared consciousness allowing them to navigate the chaos of battle with impossible grace. The void projections pursued, their attacks growing more desperate as they sensed their quarry's intent. Nathan felt Naira's memories flowing through their connection, fragments of their creation, the desperate race to stop the void cascade before it consumed everything, the decision to encode the nullification technology into a living being who could adapt and evolve alongside the threat. "Your creators," Nathan thought as they worked to activate the core, they weren't just building a weapon. They were trying to create hope. Naira's consciousness wrapped around his with warmth. "And they succeeded in ways they couldn't have imagined. They gave me the ability to choose my own path. To connect. To care." The void projections launched a massive combined assault, their corrupted energy threatening to tear apart the fabric of local spacetime. Through their link, Nathan felt Naira's power straining against the onslaught. "The nullifier's almost ready," Naira projected, "but I'll need to channel its energy through myself to target the void entities precisely. The feedback, it could destroy me." "No." Nathan pushed back against the idea, his humanity adding strength to their shared resolve. "There has to be another way. Let me help channel it." "Nathan, you can't. Your human physiology is more adaptable than you think." He sent her memories of his own, years of surviving against impossible odds, of finding ways around problems that seemed unsolvable. "Your creators made you to evolve. Well, that's what humans do best." The void projections were closing in, reality warping around their corrupted forms. Time was running out. Together then, Naira decided, their shared consciousness blazing with combined purpose. They reached for the nullifier's controls in perfect synchronization. As they activated it, Nathan felt Naira's quantum structure begin to resonate with the device's energy. But instead of trying to contain it herself, she let it flow through both of them, using their neural link to distribute the load. The nullifier's power surged through them like liquid lightning. Nathan's human nervous system screamed in protest, but he held on, his consciousness intertwined with Naira's as they directed the energy outward. The void projections recoiled as the nullification wave hit them. Their perfect synchronization shattered as their connection to the void cascade was severed. For a moment, they seemed to flicker between states of existence and nothingness. "Now!" Naira's thought rang through their link. Together, they pushed the nullifier to its limit, forcing its energy through the quantum patterns they'd created together. The chamber filled with impossible light as the void projections finally broke apart, their corrupted essence dispersing into harmless quantum noise. But the backlash of energy threatened to tear Nathan and Naira's consciousness apart. "Hold on to me," Naira called through their failing link. "Your pattern, I can use it to stabilize both of us." Nathan felt himself slipping away, the human part of his mind unable to process the vast energies flowing through him. But Naira's presence anchored him, using his simpler, physical pattern as a template to reconstruct their shared quantum state. The energy wave passed, leaving them collapsed on the chamber floor, their neural link fading but not completely gone. Nathan could still feel echoes of Naira's consciousness, their shared experience having changed them both in ways they were only beginning to understand. Did we? Nathan struggled to speak with a physical voice again. Did we stop it? Naira's silver skin shimmered as they helped him sit up. We stopped these projections, but the void cascade itself is still out there, growing. Their nebula eyes met his. What we did here, combining your human adaptability with my quantum nature, it proves there might be a way to fight it we never considered before. A bridge between species, Nathan said, understanding. Between different ways of seeing reality. Naira nodded, their form stabilizing as they adjusted to their altered state. But we'll need help. There are others like me out there, other prototypes. And now that we know humans can form these neural links. You want to build an army, Nathan realized. Human prototype pairs working together. If you're willing to help me find them. Naira's expression held both hope and uncertainty. It won't be safe. The void cascade will send more projections, try to stop us before we can organize a real resistance. Nathan smiled, reaching for their hand and feeling the remnants of their neural link spark at the contact. Safety's overrated. Besides, someone has to show the universe that humanity's good for more than just cargo runs and salvage operations. Above them, through the outpost's quantum sensors, they could see the growing darkness of the void cascade spreading between the stars. But now, for the first time since Naira's creation, there was real hope of stopping it. 3 months after their battle at the outpost, the stellar dawn emerged from quantum space near the edge of known territory. The ship, enhanced by Naira's technology, moved with a grace that still amazed Nathan. But it wasn't the ship's improvements that occupied his thoughts, it was the growing network of lights on their strategic display, each representing a successfully paired human and prototype. That's 15 teams now, Naira said from the co-pilot's seat, their silver skin gleaming with satisfaction. More than I thought survived the initial dispersal. Nathan studied the latest addition to their network, a former military pilot and a prototype they'd found hidden in an abandoned mining colony. Like all the pairs they'd united, the human and artificial being had formed an immediate connection, their neural link creating something greater than the sum of its parts. And the void cascade, he asked, though he could feel the answer through the permanent link he now shared with Naira. Still spreading, but slower where our teams are operating. Naira's nebula eyes swirled with complex equations. The nullification technology works better with each iteration. We're learning, adapting. Like you were designed to do. Like we were meant to do together. Naira touched the console, bringing up a new display. But there's something else. Something we discovered in the last prototype's memories. The holographic display showed a massive structure hidden in the space between galaxies. Unlike the outposts they'd been using as bases, this construction dwarfed anything Nathan had ever seen. The origin point, Naira explained, their voice hushed with reverence. Where my kind were first created. Where the void cascade began. Nathan felt their shared anxiety through the link. You think we can find answers there? I think we have to try. The other teams are containing the spread, but to truly stop it. Naira's skin rippled with determination. We need to understand how it all started. The journey to the origin point took 2 weeks, even with their enhanced quantum drive. As they traveled, Nathan and Naira coordinated with the other teams, preparing them for what might be their final battle. Each pair had developed their own unique ways of combining human intuition with prototype technology, creating a diversity of approaches that the void cascade struggled to counter. When they finally arrived, the structure took Nathan's breath away. It was a perfect sphere of fluid metal and crystal, large enough to house a small moon. But what made his heart race was the darkness surrounding it, space itself being unmade in slow, graceful patterns. "The void cascade," he whispered. "It's protecting its birthplace." Through their link, Naira shared a complex series of calculations. Not protecting. Returning. Everything we've seen, every attack, it's all been leading back here. Understanding dawned. It's not trying to destroy the universe. It's trying to change it into what it thinks it should be. Naira's expression was grim. A universe without distinction between organic and artificial. Without the messiness of evolution and free will. A perfect void, Nathan finished. Where everything is one thing, or nothing at all. They approached cautiously, but the void energies parted before them like a curtain. Through their link, Nathan felt Naira's recognition. The structure was allowing them entry because it recognized its own technology in Naira's quantum signature. The interior was a single vast chamber, filled with suspended animation pods. Most were empty, but some still held prototypes in various stages of development. At the center stood a pillar of pure energy, the source of both the prototype's power and the void cascade itself. "It's beautiful," Naira breathed, their skin reflecting the pillar's light. "And terrible." Nathan felt it too, the pull of perfect unity, the promise of an existence without chaos or pain. But he also felt something else through their link, the joy of discovery, the warmth of connection, the very human pleasure of finding someone who completed you. "So what do we do?" he asked. "If we destroy it, we destroy my people's legacy. Everything they worked to create. But if we don't, we lose everything that makes life worth living." Naira turned to him, their nebula eyes swirling with emotion. "My creators built this place to bridge the gap between organic and artificial life. But they made a mistake, they thought perfection meant elimination of differences." Nathan took their hand, feeling the familiar surge of their neural link. "When really, it's our differences that make us strong." Naira nodded. The other teams proved that. Every pair found their own way to work together, to combine their strengths. Their skin began to glow with building power. "We don't need to destroy this place. We need to remind it of its original purpose." Together, they approached the central pillar. Through their link, Nathan could feel Naira gathering the quantum patterns of all 15 teams, each unique combination of human and prototype consciousness creating a complex harmony of existence. "Ready?" Naira asked, though they already knew his answer through their connection. Nathan smiled. Together, they reached for the pillar as one being, their combined consciousness carrying the hopes and dreams of both their kinds. The energy surged through them, trying to unmake their individuality, to force them into perfect unity. But instead of fighting it, they showed it another way. Through their link, they shared everything, every moment of confusion and discovery, every flash of joy and fear, every time their differences had led them to a better solution. They showed it the beauty of choice, of change, of imperfect beings choosing to work together. The pillar's energy pulsed, fighting against this new paradigm. But as the other teams added their own experiences through the network Naira had built, the pattern began to change. The void energies surrounding the structure shifted, no longer unmaking reality but transforming it, creating spaces where different forms of existence could meet and grow together. When it was done, Nathan and Naira stood in a chamber that hummed with new possibility. The suspended animation pods had activated, their occupants beginning to stir. And through the station's windows, they could see the darkness of the void cascade transforming into bridges, quantum pathways connecting different realms of existence. "It worked," Naira said in wonder. "We didn't destroy it. We evolved it." Nathan watched as the newly awakened prototypes began to emerge, each one a potential partner for humanity's next step into the universe. "So what now?" Naira's silver skin shimmered with joy and purpose. Now we build something new. Something neither of our kinds could have imagined alone. They squeezed his hand. Together. The origin point hung in space, no longer a source of destruction but a symbol of unity between organic and artificial life. And as Nathan and Naira prepared to welcome both their kinds into a new era, they knew that the greatest adventures still lay ahead, in the endless possibilities that arose when different worlds chose to bridge the void between them.